This week in the League of Legends, we've got a brand new character model and some tweaks to the skills of Tristana, a brand new patch for everyone to play around with, some released skins for a special event here in the League, and Nemisis mode. All this and more on the Spazda Gaming web show.
This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. This is an ongoing show where we talk a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game.
Tristana, Champion Update, released kind of out of nowhere. We didn't hear anything about her getting any kit changes.
We saw the updates to some of her skills the other day, and then we kind of saw a preview of her model, but now it's just out.
Yep.
Most of her kit's the same. I think they reduced the attack speed a little bit on her active, but the biggest change by far was to E, Explosive Charge. It still has the passive. Whenever she kills a unit, it explodes and damages everyone nearby, but it has a new active. What this active does is basically it's a targeted ability, and you can target an enemy unit or a turret, and after a few seconds the charge will blow up and deal a good chunk of damage to the target and all its nearby allies. Now, attacking the target with basic attacks will make the charge more powerful, and it will deal bonus damage when it explodes. Additionally, you can rocket jump onto that target to also give it some extra damage. So you can sort of cocktail all this and have a huge explosive effect.
Just this one change to her really kind of amped up her power and her kind of pushing potential, because she's very, very, very liked as a pushing kind of get in, get out kind of champion. So now this is like, I can put more damage using this auto attack combination with explosive charge to deal some really nasty damage.
Yeah, that was always her strength, was pushing towers. You went ability power, you could push towers. You went attack damage, you could push towers. And so it's good to see that they're keeping that spirit in her kit. So, Trist, the new model, the new voice.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't like the voice acting on this. It feels a little bit subdued. I don't think it has the same energy as the old one. It's just not as much of a character voice, I feel, as just a talking voice. You know, think of the difference between, like, let's say, voice acting in Metal Gear Solid compared to Mass Effect. Two AAA games, very different voice acting styles. Mass Effect is very subdued, very casual, very kind of realistic. Metal Gear is like, larger than life. Metal Gear, I'll let you go out in style. You know, it's charged. And all of the League
This is my favorite store in the Citadel.
And all of the League characters have very charged voices for the most part. They're very emotive because the models really aren't that emotive for the most part. So it's important, I feel, to have that very emotive, very larger than life voice acting, and I don't think this new stuff has it.
Yeah, and the thing is that they're not really changing up her lore very much. They're just like, hey, she's like one of the best, you know, in the military unit for Bandle City, blah, 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 blah. Nothing about her personality being changed. So why are they going from kaboom to kaboom? It's just, it's a weird change, and I listened to the things a couple of times. I like what she says, but I think the energy is missing, especially for a character like Tristana. For about 5 years now, we've known her to be this really hyper-energetic, like, crazy gunner, but I think they're trying to step back a bit because they have
Jinx is the only crazy gunner. Meh.
What do you think about her model? Because we've been talking about the voice acting.
So this is one thing that we talked about a little bit about when we first saw some of the changes to her model. This is something that's perplexed me because it used to be that male and female Yordles looked different. And now it looks like they're pushing to more sort of unify what Yordles look like with the big ears and sort of the wider stance. You know, before you had Trist, you had Lulu, you had Poppy. And they were all blue, relatively short, normal ears. Now they've got the Yordle ears. They're a little bit wider in their step. So this is interesting, and any of you lore buffs before the wipe, and, you know, before even the game got popular, there used to be two races. There were Yordles, and I forget what the other one was, but the females were considered the other race.
Yeah, there were like Boppins or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a weird name.
Yeah, and eventually they just said they're all Yordles, and I think they're slowly coming back and saying, okay, we need to get over this Boppin thing. Yordles all look the same. This is how they look. So I think that's what they're getting back to.
Yeah, just looked at her old splash art. She had more kind of like pointed elf ears, opposed to this new kind of
the furry ears.
Furry ears. I like the animations. The animations are really cool. Her movement's really interesting to watch. The thing I kind of don't like about it is she looks like those the blue people from Guild Wars.
Asura?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair argument.
You know, she doesn't have the eyes like them, but she definitely reminds me of that, opposed to...
She's got a far more humanoid face than the Asura from Guild Wars, if I recall properly. Asura, they're a little bit more mousy. They've got smaller mouths, they're very sharp teeth, and their eyes are much more angled and cat-like.
But it's just like the tone of the skin. And
sure. The ears, definitely. The height, definitely. So I can see where you're coming from there. But overall, I mean... The Asura are definitely more beast-like than Trist is. Tristana is certainly, she's certainly more humanoid. So,
yeah. But let us know what you guys think. More opinions are always great. I'm excited for.
I'm really curious to see her tower pushing potential because you get good attack speed going, you're going to be melting towers. Yeah. It's just going to be unreal.
And I love Tristana. She's one of the 80 carries I like to play every now and again. It's like, well, I feel like slaughtering someone. Time to go 21-2.
This will be a slaughter.
Or, hold on. This will be a slaughter.
That's what we can come to expect. We're going to move on over to the patch, though, folks.
5.1, the first patch of Season 5. Starting off with a lot of kind of balancing changes. Not really...
splash art updates, some texture icons, kind of like what we talked about last week. You got fixes to folks like Asir. We've got some for Elise.
Corki.
Minor changes to a lot of characters. A lot of nerfs, surprisingly enough, and a couple of tweaks. A lot of changes to mana. Still some residuals from, weeks prior where they changed the whole mana regain system. Some big nerfs to characters like Nautilus, especially. Pretty unfortunate for him. Rek'Sai, despite how much we dumped on her, she is pretty strong for the most part. That true damage is really powerful, combining with some of her good AP scaling. They've decided to tone down her ability some, so we'll have to see how that ends up going, because she's just so unique, it's hard to really gauge that. Renekton got nerfed really bad. Very difficult for him to gain Fury on non-champ targets, and his overall health gain from lane is a lot more dependent on his statistics rather than the amount of damage that he deals. So, on the one hand, it's nicer for the late game against characters that have a lot of damage mitigation. On the other hand, it's kind of really hard for him in the early game. So we're going to see how this works. He used to be a very powerful lane bully that was hard to shake off.
And a very powerful solo, duelist.
Yeah, and now that might not be the case just because his Fury, he'll start the fight with less Fury, and he'll have a harder time getting it and living in the fight long enough to do so. Nerfs to Syndra, which is unfortunate. Harder to land or stun. Dark Sphere does significantly less damage at early levels, which is kind of a drag. And really that's about it. Some goofy other changes, but definitely stuff you want to read through, guys. Like I said, lots of changes to mana costs, lots of minor changes and texture updates, so if you're any kind of player, definitely give it a shot. The biggest thing on this patch, I would say, is Zerat's Portal is now up. This is an item we discussed a little bit ago, and you want to run it over?
Zerat's Portal. It is built out of a Raptor Cloak, Negatron Cloak, and 950 gold. It has 50 armor, 50 magic resistance, and a base health regeneration of 100%. It has a unique passive called Point Runner, the same as Raptor Cloak. And it will give you 30% movement speed over 2 seconds while near turrets or Void Gates. Void Gates are spawned by Zerat's Portal, and you can put it in a target location for 150 seconds. Every 4 seconds, the gate will make a Void Spawn to travel down the nearest lane. Void Spawn explodes when attacking structures, Void Spawns ignore champions, and Void targets. After the third Void Spawn is made by the Void Gate, additional Void Spawns gain 50% of your armor and magic resistance as damage. So this thing is an incredibly good mobile pushing tool. It ignores champions, so you can't overwhelm your opponent champion while you're over there, but it's always constantly going to be pumping out something every 4 seconds. So if you want something to be a really, really fast, I'm going to get in this lane, I'm going to take down this turret so I can become more mobile, it's a great tool for it.
Yeah, I see this being a wonderful tool for trench characters like Heimerdinger, like Zyra. Azir too. I see this being a great tool for slower, tanky melee characters, like you have your Garens, you have your Dariuses, you
Alistair.
have Alistair, you have
Maokai.
Sejuani, Maokai. I shouldn't really say Garen and Darius, honestly, but they would never pick this item up. But tankier characters that don't need a lot of items for their damage, Nautilus, Maokai, and so on, this is going to be a really good item for them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it actually fits in. They're really worried about it being a little too powerful, but I see it's with the 2,800 cost. It's going to be kind of hard to get to. You're going to really have to
pick up.
Yep.
It's going to be a win more item for sure. Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer. IE lost 5% crit rate, and Phantom Dancer picked it up. So IE will be less of the end-all, be-all item. And yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, kind of balancing out where the power comes from.
Indeed.
It's like, well, I'm an 80 carry, better stack Infinity Edge.
Yeah, you get an Infinity Edge. It's just the default. So make it a little less go-to.
Yes, and the Greater Stealth Totem and the Greater Vision Totem had their cooldowns reduced and their gold prices reduced as well. They're 250 gold apiece now, and 60 and 120 respectively. The Farsight Orb and the Oracle Lens all had changes as well. Farsight is also 250 gold, and the Oracle Lens has a 75-second
Which
cooldown.
I dislike. The Oracle's Lens is a great counter tool. Countering Vision is really important in League because Vision is so common. And I think
they're taking
nerfing the cooldown on Greater Vision Totem and making the cooldown longer on Oracle's Lens is a step in the wrong direction.
Well, they're reducing the cooldown on the Ward Trinket, so why are they increasing the Oracle Lens thing? It shouldn't be a thing
the Vision Totem, it lets you counter ward.
Right.
So having that be less than, about 45 seconds. I mean, 45 seconds is not that long. And the Vision Totem is indisputably better.
It is.
So making the Oracle's Lens worse while making the Vision Totem better is just it's a bad move.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Indeed. Coming up in this patch, we've got 2 new skins, like we mentioned earlier. We've got the Challenger Ahri and El Tigre Baram.
Challenger Ahri is going to be a legacy skin. It's going to mark the beginning of the season. So if you guys play Ahri or want a skin that's not going to be around for too much longer, definitely pick this one up. Only $9.75. A lot of changes to her particle effects. A lot of changes to her model itself. If you like,
the colors pop a lot. It's lots of contrasting colors, so it's a very unique skin for her.
I'm actually thinking about picking it up, even though I hate Ahri to death and I don't own her, but it's just such a nice skin.
Ahri is just an old hatred for me. I hated her when she comes out, and I hate her now.
It's okay.
And then you love that Braum skin.
Oh, yes, El Tigre. There's something about having him in, like, the luchador outfit, jumping on people.
I don't care what the skin looks like. It's the splash art. The splash art is where it is all at. Just his face. Just zoom in. Just slow zoom.
Hola.
It's not even like he's saying anything. Like, he's just... Like, you just imagine, like, he just finished his dinner and he's just sitting there and, like, someone's telling him some news he doesn't want to hear and he's like...
Better sit down in the chair for this one, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They've also added 3 new ward skins. These are the old Poro skins, the Battlecast Poro, the Underworld Poro, and the Dragon Slayer Poro.
Good stuff.
Very great looking skins. And a lot of texture updates and new summoner icons coming up here in the future.
Yay! But really, that's it for official patch notes. We're going to be jumping on over. They've got a couple of texture changes in the works. But the big thing on the PBE right now
is we have 5 new skins that hit. 3 of them are going to be for a special event, and 2 of them seem to be going to follow along through the following months. And we'll start with the holiday skins. This is going to be for the Lunar Festival 2015.
We've got, of course, Firecracker Jinx, which Asian celebratory themed skin that is confirmed to not be a legacy skin, but rather just be available starting at the event. After that, we've got Warring Kingdoms Catriana, which is a wonderful looking skin. And we also have Warring Kingdoms Nidori.
So yeah, those are the 3 holiday skins. I really like the Jinx one. I know we bash on Jinx and stuff like that, but the effects on it are really cool. I have the Corky one, so having all the cool fireworks again on another 80 carry I play is pretty neat. Her firecrackers, her even little like grenades and stuff like
chompers.
that. Yeah, and the effect on the ult, really cool.
Yeah, the sort of cell-shaded smoke is just awesome looking.
Yeah.
After that, we've got 2 more skins that are not going to be based for the holiday, but we have got Arclight Vel'Koz, which is an incredibly gorgeous-looking skin. But again, texture's not final. We'll see how it looks as the final product.
Just like the Varus skin, this one is going to have altered voice acting, so it's going to have a different modulation to it, so it's not going to be the normal voice. So if you don't like Vel'Koz's voice, even though it's a great voice acting with him, definitely look into it. I really enjoy it.
And then finally, we've got Sweetheart Annie, which is no doubt coming out for February. Just a heart-themed Valentine skin. Not anything crazy, but just very striking colors and interesting models for sure. And the other huge thing on the PBE, Nemesis mode.
Nemesis mode. This is going to be the next specialty game mode that comes out. Not sure when. It's going to be hitting the PBE soon. And it's a little bit different than the other game modes we've seen.
So it works a lot like First Captain's mode, if you're familiar. It's got the start. Each team gets 3 bands. And then at that point, you choose a pool of 5 characters. Each person gets 1 pick, I believe. And then from that pool, your enemy team gets to pick 1 character. Which means you essentially get to pick your enemy's team. And then you get to fight each other.
Yes. So if you're worried about, what champions you're going to get, the way it's going to work is you get the pool, everybody gets a period of time to trade and reorganize depending on what your runes are, what your mastery's like. Hey, it's like I've never played this character, but hey, I've played this character before, we'll trade you. And so you'll be able to rearrange to make sure that your team at least has some semblance of organization, because with the runes and masteries, you can't really just jump on the...
So it's a little tough, but ultimately I think it'll be interesting. Definitely get people out of their element. Maybe make them pick up characters they wouldn't normally pick up. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I really like the concept of this one.
And by pick characters they would normally pick, I mean picking lots of supports.
Well, it looks like this match is going to take 50 minutes. Everybody can heal. Everybody deals no damage.
Why not?
Oh, hey, we're not playing characters in the meta. Oh, no.
What are we going to do?
But I think the funniest part is Riot's putting out a game mode to show all the characters that suck in their game.
Yep. If you ever needed confirmation of the metagame and what needs to be buffed, this is a great way to do it.
Hey, this is actually ingenious. It's like, well, we got to see what people don't play.
Exactly. Maybe they're a little smarter than we thought.
We're going to have like a chart that's like champions most picked, and it's just like one champion that we didn't even know was there. It's like Yorick. It's just like, huh.
Oh, he's still a character? Shoot.
I thought he was getting an update. No? Oh.
No? All right. Well, all right.
And then Teemo's number 2, just because out of
Poor
spite.
Yorick. No, seriously. But that's it for official news this week, guys. We're going to move on to our own section here. Our first question this week comes from Mestre12. He says, do you guys hope for a great pool of champions in the LCS?
It's gotten better.
I hope. Yes, I do hope for such a thing.
It's really hard to say because the season's just starting up, and we're going to probably have about 5 new champions between the beginning and the end, as well as patches and changes throughout the year. So it's really hard to say, just because that there's going to be addition of new champions, which means that there's going to be new counters for them. So characters might just come out of nowhere and just blow them out of the water. Plus we have the addition of most likely a Taric update and a few other updates to follow along with it, where they might become popular because of their updates.
One of the things that I've always said about League, and one of the reasons why the pool of characters you see picked in League is always kind of smaller compared to other games, is that a bulk of the power of a character in League is put on the character rather than the items in other MOBAs, for example. So in other MOBAs, a lot of your power comes from your items or things like that, but with the power curve of the characters plus their runes and masteries, if a champion's top dog, very little happens to change that. So, I do hope to see more things change. And who knows what we'll see, but ultimately I'm hoping for, less meta. Because people watch those games. A lot of people watch League of Legends. And so if the pros are the first to change, it will trickle down. And that's something I think everyone's wanting.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing to keep in mind. It's like, if a pro finds a character that he really likes, even if it's like out of nowhere, we've seen people playing last LCS, we've seen people playing Gianna again. She came out of nowhere, and everybody's like, why are they playing that? And it's like, oh, she's good again. Cool.
And it's not that she was ever bad, it's just People just didn't want to play her because their idols weren't. So it's all trickle down. Our next question comes from Shannon Burt. She says, is it true that there's a champion called Yorick? If so, could you please show gameplay? I'm not actually familiar with this character. Is that a Smite character?
It sounds like a Dawngate character. Probably the last one before the game got canceled.
Right on. Oh, I loved Dawngate. Probably.
I liked Dawngate before it got...
No, Yorick... Yes, he is a character.
I actually got this footage that's going to be playing. It's probably A, going to only be in bot mode, so the joke is funny, or B, it's going to be a losing game because he's really bad.
Yeah, he's just... the whole game has changed from when he was first released. And
he used to be strong.
He used to be unable to be kicked out of lane. That was his strength. But they have since nerfed that, and because of that, he doesn't have the trade ability to stay in top lane. And he's not a very quick jungler, so he really doesn't have a place because he can't support.
No.
He can't mid.
No.
You need the bush on Yorick to do anything, really. So, honestly, I think items like this new Void Gate will help him. I think they can definitely give him a unique place, especially. But ultimately, when the big change happened to Manamune, only one of his abilities can get the damage out of that. And that was supposed to be that was supposed to be a huge deal for him, is having a capped Manamune and just pumping out damage. And because he doesn't stand to benefit from the upgraded version like all the other Manamune characters did, I think that's when he really started to fall behind. And so some big changes need to happen to him if he's ever going to be a good character again.
He has utility with his slow and his, ghosts and stuff like that. But unfortunately, the metagame has so much AoE that they just get shredded to begin with.
It's not even that they get shredded. He used to have a lot of sustain. And that was his big thing, is he just wouldn't ever leave top. And he would just keep pushing until the end of the game. And he was just a demon of split pushing, and you just could not stop him.
Right.
And now he can't do that. He can get bullied out of lane pretty easily. So, too bad. Yes, I've heard of him. Yes, I used to play against him a lot. Yes, I used to actually get frustrated by Yorick's, but not anymore.
I used to love playing Yorick, but...
That's how it goes.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. But that's really it for questions this week, guys. We love questions. We try to answer at least 2 on the show. If you have a question for us about the show, about League of Legends, about gaming in general, about anything really, we'd love to answer it. So please, post your questions down in the comment section below. You can send it to our email at spastigaming@gmail.com, or post them on our Facebook, Twitter, or website, all of which can be found in the information down below. We definitely take a look at those fairly frequently. But otherwise, this has been a wonderful show, and we have something interesting.
We have launched our Patreon. You guys can check it out in the link down below. Don't feel pressured. If you guys really love the show and you guys want to help us grow in any way, shape, or form,
and
just
you
give it a
want
look.
to see bonus content.
Yes, we have options for all different pay options. $1 will get you at least something on our website. You'll get to check out all sorts of stuff at higher levels. Might even have physical merchandise as time goes on. We can always add, subtract, depending on what you guys want to see. So,
yeah, take a look at the video. It's up now. And take a look at the Patreon website itself. We'll put a link down, and you can take a look. Otherwise, it's been Axis.
And Water Elemental.
And if we don't make some friggin' dollars, I'm going to start selling drugs again.
I'm leaving.
Make sure you open and close the door twice so they know. There you go. Wiggle the handle more. Yeah.
You like my wiggle work?
It's a little, it's not great, but